Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 4th of October and welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, in the video, we'll discuss the entire newspaper with the background as well as the way forward in all the articles. Now, let's start with the analysis. But before that, I would like to tell you that you can download this explainer PDF from the Telegram channel. This explainer PDF contains the notes of all the articles that had come in the today's newspaper. Fine, so you can download the PDF and can follow this along with the articles. Okay. And in the last we have also taken the mains practice questions as well. Now starting up, and the link for the Telegram channel has been given in the description box in YouTube. Moreover, you can visit the Telegram and search Thinking Palette by Sahil there. Now so first let's take the overview of the entire newspaper in order to understand that which articles are important in the today's newspaper. So here we have the first page, and the first article talks about the Nobel Prize in the medicine that has been given. So we'll be understanding this entire article. Then the political articles etc. are there, not important for the exam. Remove online betting ads, center tells the TV channels news websites. So guys, you might be seeing that many of the surrogate ads or many of the ads onto the betting, gambling etc. are coming. Fine. So therefore the advertisements are to be removed, they cannot be shown. Such a direction has been given by the center. Government may lift AFSPA in 4 states after the Naga Peace Pact. Okay, so we'll see this particular article also. Then assembly bypolls in the 6 states have been announced. Okay, now the date on which the election have been announced, and that is not very much important. Then moving on, CM's absence is unacceptable. Fine. The dengue cases into the Delhi, not very much important for the examination. Then these tenders, advertisements etc. have been given. Okay, so just you need to avoid them. Okay, the political articles, crime related articles into the regional section are not very important for our examination. Fine, so we'll be avoiding them and directly will reach to the editorial page. So on the editorial page, the rupee under pressure, what next? So this is an article talks about the rupee which is depreciating. Fine, we'll see this article. A decisive shift into the discourse of the abortion rights, we'll see this article as well. Then every drop counts. So this article talks about the Jal Jeevan Mission's survey that has been happened. Fine. Then the love and the loss. Now guys, we have basically recently there was what happened in Indonesia. In one of our stadium there was a stampede that happened, and into the stampede many people got injured, many people got killed. So this is talking about that. Then moving on, Tamil Nadu's breakfast scheme is populist or pertinent. We'll see this particular article with respect to the GS paper number 2. The Sena versus Sena, show of strength. Now, not important article for UPSC. This is a political article. Death, inaccuracies and statistics, the case of the SRS. Now guys, in the times of the COVID, we have seen that there were the far more number of deaths against what was reported by the state. So when we talk about the India, in India we find this particular thing that the civil registration system is not very much perfect. The deaths are not reported. Now in this particular article, the number of deaths, excess deaths and all these kind of things, in what state, how many deaths have happened, what is the difference, that is being provided. Now you don't need to go too much into this microscopic data that for example in every state what is the average death, what is the death rate in 2020, how many excess deaths are there. No need to go too much into the detail in that. Then the Mediation Bill of 2021, it's a good article, we'll see this one. Then what are the changes into the UAE's immigration rules? So guys, the UAE has announced the new types of visas. Fine. Now understand this particular thing that first of all, this is the UAE's immigration policy. So as it is a UAE's immigration policy, for our UPSC, it is not that much very much relevant, though there will be many standalone videos that will be made on this particular thing. But understand, we are concerned about the developments which are with respect to the India. However, just one thing I want to tell you here is that basically what has happened for the first time now in the UAE has introduced fine, for the first time the UAE has introduced new 5-year green residence visas. Okay, so these 5-year green residence visa will be given to the professionals, will be given to the entrepreneurs, businessmen, so that onto the long term basis they can reside into the UAE. So a new 5-year green residence visa has been provided to attract skilled professionals, freelancers, investors, entrepreneurs. Okay, so earlier the visa were given for 2 years, now the 5-year visa is given. Now you see this thing that many of the investors, many of the businessmen, entrepreneurs from India are also going to the UAE. So this is an attempt of UAE to attract the investors. Fine. After that, it has been provided that After that, the entry visas, earlier they were of 30 days, now they will be of 60 days. So these are the changes that had happened. 30-day visa converted to 60 days, a 5-year visa is there. Fine, so no need to go too much in this particular article. Fine. Then moving on, after that, the evolution of the Mahatma Gandhi's thought and philosophy. Okay, so this is, guys, an archive article. Archive article means that the article was published earlier. It is an old article already published into the newspaper. Fine. So this particular article talks about the Gandhiji's Gandhiji's philosophy, views on ahimsa and all such kind of a thing. So this is a kind of a more of a leisurely read. Fine. So moving on, after that, here we find that actually the induction of indigenous built light combat helicopters. So here the light combat helicopter Prachand has been discussed. We'll see this particular article. Then this is a very important article, the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana and its assessment has been carried. So we'll see this article with respect to the examination. Then the political articles, not important. MG Narega to work for the reversing of the desertification. Very good article. We'll see this article. Then coal plans cutting coal supply to plant center to plan cutting coal supplies to plant that don't comply on biomass coal co-firing. We'll see this article. Then moving on, after that, guys, basically the Brazil's elections and all such kind of things have been discussed. No need to go too much in detail. After uproar, UK's trust forced into major U-turn over tax cut for wealthy. So guys, we find this particular thing that the tax relaxations were given into the UK and they have not been appreciated too much. Fine. However, do you need to go too much into the detail in this particular article? So guys, this are the internal taxation policies of the UK. So internal taxation policies of UK or for such other country, you don't need to go too much into the detail. Again, why? Because for UPSC examination, the developments which will have implications on India, that is something more important. Then China's passenger jet moves a step closer to take off. Fine. Moving on. After that, guys, September PMI signals a deacceleration in the pace of manufacturing expansion. So right now we have seen this particular thing that inflation is coming and around the world there is a kind of a less demand, and because of that particular thing, the manufacturing sector in India is also getting impacted. And then we have the sports page. Okay. So guys, these are the articles for today, and one important thing I want to tell you here. So here we have the Hindu newspaper. There is one notice that has come. It says that there will be no edition of the Hindu on October 5 as Ayudh Puja is a holiday. So tomorrow, that is on the 5th of October, there will be no edition of the Hindu newspaper. Okay, so we might not be having it tomorrow. Now, moving on. So let's start. In every class, we take a GS quotation which can be used in one of your papers. Fine. So today we'll take the quote from the Greek philosopher Aristotle. Now Aristotle says that it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. Now you see this particular thing, that whenever we get any conflicting idea, conflicting view, conflicting ideology, conflicting thought, we oppose that. We want to silence that. Why? Because we think that if an ideology has been presented to us, we have to accept it. We have to be aligned with it, and therefore we negate, we condemn it, and often it leads to certain disputes. So therefore, guys, it has been provided that this is not the correct way. Rather, what is a difference between an educated mind and an uneducated mind? Educated mind is such which can entertain a thought without accepting it. Fine, there are people who have different viewpoints, they can have that. It is not necessary that if they are having that viewpoint, you also have to accept it. You can have your viewpoint, they can have their own viewpoint, and still an existence in the tolerance can be there. Still, you can accommodate that. So this is a kind of a symbol of an educated mind. Now, if such kind of a realization will come, will truly be able to become an accommodative and a tolerant society. Even the French philosopher Voltaire said that I may not agree with what you say, but I'll uphold your right to say so until my last breath. So you may not agree with other people's viewpoint, but allow them to express that. And fine. So without accepting, allow them to express. Very important and very good idea. We can use it in GS paper number 2 as well as GS paper number 4 ethics. So that is all about it. And now let's take the first article. Okay. So guys, the first article that we'll be taking is about the Mediation Bill 2021. and this Mediation Bill 2021, it is very important for GS paper number 2, GS paper number 2, issues related to the judiciary, and within the judiciary related issues, ADR, that is the Alternative Dispute Resolution, ADR. Okay. Now, before going in this particular article, guys, I want to tell you some of very important developments which is important for your exam. Now, when we talk about the democracy, in a democracy, judiciary happens to be the very important pillar of a democracy. Why? Because judiciary helps in the adjudication of disputes. Judiciary is the institution which brings justice for all, and justice has been promised already in the preamble of the Indian Constitution. Now, when I tell you the numbers about the judicial pendency of the cases, so guys, understand this particular thing, that nearly 4 crore cases are pending in the courts in India. And as the 4 crore cases are pending, basically the judicial backlog, judicial logjam is huge. Fine. If there is one case that goes into the judiciary, years and years of litigation goes on. So in order to solve the judicial backlog and judicial pendency, the Mediation Bill 2021 has been announced. First of all, before going in this Mediation Bill of 2021, we want to discuss the concept of ADR, that is the Alternative Dispute Resolution. So what is the Alternative Dispute Resolution? In this thing, the disputes between the parties are resolved or they are settled outside the traditional court system. Fine. It is non-adversarial. Now, what is non-adversarial? In non-adversarial, suppose there is a dispute between the two parties, both will be attacking and counter-attacking each other. So, this is an adversarial mechanism. However, in the non-adversarial mechanism, by cooperation, by compromise, the disputes will be resolved. So, the alternative dispute resolution, it is settled outside the court and it is non-adversarial. That is, by cooperation, the disputes are resolved. Now, as we talk about the ADR, there are the different tools under the ADR. Fine. For example, number one is arbitration. Now, what happens into the arbitration? There will be, now you see, if you go to the regular court, your case might be solved in 10, 15, 20 years. But in arbitration, what happened? The two parties will go to a neutral arbitrator. They will go to a neutral arbitrator. They will put forward their case, their facts into the front of that arbitrator, and arbitrator will come out with a kind of a verdict. It will come out with a verdict, and this verdict has to be accepted by both the parties. This is the arbitration. Now, when we talk about arbitration, arbitration is little bit flexible when compared to the judicial process that is there. Okay, so in arbitration what will happen? An arbitral tribunal or an arbitrator will issue a binding agreement or a binding decision. Then the next comes, it's conciliation. That is a conciliation. So in conciliation, what will happen? Again, these two parties will approach to a conciliator. Now, this conciliator, what will do? It will take both the parties into the confidence, and he will come out with some kind of recommendation. Is it clear or not? And the recommendation, it will be binding on the parties. Now understand this particular thing, that when we talk about conciliation is less formal than the arbitration. Actually, the conciliator who will be there, the conciliator will bring both the parties into the confidence and will issue some of the decision. And then the third comes is mediation. Now guys, what is in mediation? In mediation, again, these two parties will appoint a third party, that is a mediator. Now, the mediator will just create a conducive environment so that these two parties at their own come out at a compromise. See, understand that when we talk about the difference between the mediation and the conciliation, in conciliation, the conciliator was giving some recommendation that has to be followed. But in mediation, the mediator will not give any recommendation, will not give any decision. These people themselves will be coming, together and they will be agreeing on certain kind of things. So it will just create a conducive environment. Okay. So this is the difference between arbitration, conciliation and mediation. Fine. You can just read them. You can download the PDF. Then moving on. When we talk about India, guys, fine. So in the India, as we are talking about the alternative dispute resolution, fine, right now we don't have the formalized mediation system in India. Okay. The question comes, sir, will conciliation be binding or non-binding? See, once they have accepted, it is binding. Once they have accepted, it is binding. Now, when we talk about India, we don't have any standalone legislation for mediation in India. We have the Code of Civil Procedure, the Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996, the Companies Act 2013, Commercial Courts Act 2015, and Consumer Protection Act 2019. What they are talking about? They are basically talking about that there can be the mediation, but a stand-alone law which regulates all the dimensions of mediation, that's not there. Now, at the same time, I just want to tell you that actually India is a signatory of the Singapore Convention on Mediation. Now, this Singapore Convention on Mediation, it is also formally known as the United Nations Convention on International Settlement. So, as we are the signatory of this convention, we need to create a stand-alone law on the mediation, and therefore, in order to fulfill the obligation of this Singapore Convention, we have introduced the Mediation Bill 2021. We have introduced the Mediation Bill 2021. Now, this particular bill was introduced into the Rajya Sabha in 2021, and then this particular bill was referred to the Parliamentary Standing Committee. Now, the Parliamentary Standing Committee has given its recommendations, and some of the recommendations that have been given we'll see here in this particular bill. Now, let's see first of all the highlights of this bill. Now, one more thing is there, that apart from the things that have been provided here in this Hindu article, this one, I had included some of the basically things from the other sources such as the PRS also, so that you can get the better understanding of this particular bill. So, what is the highlights of the bill? Number one, it provides that if in every case, in every civil matter or the commercial dispute, the parties have to mandatorily approach the mediator. They have to go through the mediation before going to the court. Now, the civil matters, for example, the matters related to the inheritance, marriage, divorce, okay, adoption, fine, or the civil disputes, fine, property disputes, commercial disputes, fine, these disputes have to go through mediation before going to the court. So that is compulsory for them. After that, it has been provided that the parties, they can withdraw from the mediation after the 2 mediation sessions have been happened. So after that, they can withdraw from mediation if they are not satisfied, and the mediation process is to be completed within 180 days. It can be extended to the another 180 days. So into the maximum of 360 days, the mediation is to be completed. Then next provision is that in India, there will be a specific body that will be established for this mediation purposes. That will be the Mediation Council of India. So, Mediation Council of India will be established, and the purpose of the functions of the Mediation Council will be, number one, registering mediators. Now, mediators are the professionals. So, I told you that when you go for a mediation, you will approach to a third mediator who will create an environment where the people themselves will be coming at kind of an agreement. So, the mediator will be the professionals. So, these mediators will be registered under the Mediation Council of India, recognizing the mediation service provider. So, as you have CA firms, as you have law firms, so there can be the mediation firms which can provide these professionals. Okay, and then the mediation institutes can be there which will train and will certify the mediators. Okay, so the Mediation Council of India will regulate all this thing. Then the next thing, third thing that comes here is that this particular bill also lists the disputes which are fit for mediation and which are not fit for mediation. Now, in this particular direction, you understand this thing, that the criminal cases, for example, the case of rape, the case of murder, fine, they are not fit for mediation. Okay, moreover, further the list can be amended by the government. It can put which cases are fit for mediation and which cases are not fit for mediation. Fine, so this is something that can be provided. Then the fourth provision of this bill, the fourth provision, so it's provided that if the parties agree, they may appoint any person as a mediator. If the parties don't agree, now see, you can appoint your own mediator, or simply you can go to a mediation service provider, a company, and that company will provide you a mediator from its panel of mediators. That's something. And then fifth provision of this particular bill, that agreements resulting from mediation will be binding and enforceable in the same manner as the court judgments. Okay, so once you have agreed on the mediation, that mediation will be binding on the people. That is the provisions. So these are the 5 provisions of the Mediation Bill 2021. I am telling you one particular thing, guys, that understand the points that we have discussed here. We have taken it from the the other sources, including the PRS. So beyond that, you don't need to go and see even a single word onto the mediation. So that will be all. Now, what are the issues coming in the mediation? Now, the first issue that comes in mediation is that actually you have seen this thing that the pre-litigation mediation is mandatory. In the civil and the commercial disputes, it's compulsory that you have to go for mediation. But it is defeating the entire purpose. The article says that actually mediation by very design is a voluntary process. If I want, I'll go for mediation. If I don't want, I'll not go for mediation. It is a voluntary process, but you have imposed it. Now it will defeat the spirit of Article 21. Now when we talk about the Article number 21, right to life and liberty, the liberty entails that it is a person's wish that whether a person wants to go to the mediation or not. It is restricting the access to justice. It is restricting the access to justice. Fine. So justice, it is a constitutional right which cannot be controlled, which cannot be restricted. But here making the mediation as mandatory, the Article 21, the access of justice, the right to liberty, right to free trial, all these rights are getting violated. This is one criticism. Then second criticism that comes. Now, if you remember, we have discussed the Mediation Council will be created. Okay, so we have discussed here that this the Mediation Council of India will be created, which will be registering the mediation professionals, will be registering the mediation institutes. Now, understand, in the bill there is no provision, okay, that who will be in this Mediation Council. Right? So it will regulate the profession of the mediators, but it may not have representation from the practicing mediators with adequate experience. Okay, so it's provided that in this Mediation Council of India, you have not provided that only the practicing mediators will be there. There can be other political persons, there could be other civil servants that are having, but they might not be having adequate experience. They might not be having adequate experience. Now, when we talk about other professional regulators, for example, the Bar Council of India, Now, Bar Council of India is a regulator to regulate the conduct of the lawyers. So in the Bar Council of India, lawyers are there. So therefore, in the Mediation Council of India, the professional mediators need to be the office holders, but that's not there. Then the third criticism, see, the Mediation Council will require the approval from the central government before issuing any regulations with respect to its function. So Mediation Council will require the permission from government, but understand that sometimes what happens, the government is the party in the mediation. Government is the party in the mediation. Let's take one particular case. For example, there is a person. Now this particular person has not paid the tax. Let's say a tax of 100 crore rupees have not paid by this particular person. Now this particular person, this is obviously now this particular thing, it is a dispute that has come. Just for the example, let's consider that this particular dispute for time being also comes under the definition of mediation. Now here, who are the parties? This person and government is a party. So if a Mediation Council will require the approval from the government and government is a party into the process, it will lead to the conflict of interest. Okay, so at this example I have just given you to explain, because guys, many times paying the tax above a particular threshold becomes a criminal liability also. The criminal cases will not be covered into the Mediation Council, but below a particular level it can be a civil liability also. Okay, so this example was just for the explanation purposes. Fine. So the point that comes here in this particular direction is that the Mediation Council, just a minute. Okay, so the question that coming in this particular direction is that the Mediation Council, okay, fine, it will take the approval from government, but government can be the party, so it will lead to the conflict of interest. Now, moving on into the next one. Okay, so the next issue that's coming in this particular direction is that basically when we talk about the mediation, it applies to international mediation only if they are conducted in India. Okay, so international mediation, suppose party A and party B has done a mediation, but that mediation happened in Singapore, or that mediation happened into the China. So that particular mediation will basically the enforceability will not be there in the India. So this is, guys, the issue that's coming in this particular direction. Okay, so that is all about it. I hope that you have understood it. Okay, there is some issue with respect to the mic, I think. Okay, is now it clear or not? Is the voice now clear? Fine. So that is something that has come here. Now moving to the next article. So guys, I hope that this mediation bill is entirely clear to you. Okay, and one thing is that personally I am telling you that please don't go beyond anything in the mediation bill. Please download this PDF. Please download this PDF and use all the articles here. Now moving on. Okay, taking the next article. Swedish scientist gets medicine Nobel for the work on human evolution. Okay, so this article will be discussing the Nobel Prize that has been given for the medicine. Now we'll be discussing the entire issues related to the Nobel Prize, also the things which can be asked into the prelims examination. Okay, so this particular article will see with respect to GS paper number 3, awards and recognition, innovation. Even in science and technology, this particular issue will come. Okay, and for the prelims examination, for preliminary test, this issue will be very important. Now let's discuss some of the basic things first of all about the Nobel Prize, and then we'll see this development that has happened. Now when we talk about the Nobel Prize, first of all, in which fields actually the Nobel Prize is given. So Nobel Prize is actually awarded into the fields of physics, chemistry, physiology or medicine, or in the literature, in peace. So when we talk about the Nobel Peace Prize, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 categories in which the Nobel Prize is given. But there is actually one more category, that is the Nobel Prize in Economics. Now understand this thing, that Nobel Prize in Economics was not originally instituted. However, in 1968, the Sveriges Riksbank is the central bank of the Sweden. So since 1968, they provided that within the Nobel Prizes, apart from these 5 Nobel Prizes, one prize in economics should also be given. So after 1968, one more prize in Nobel got added, that is the prize in the economic sciences. So as of now, we have the 6 awards that are into the 6 categories the Nobel Prize is given, including the 5 originally and the 6th, that is the economic science, that was added in 1968. Now understand this thing, that actually these prizes are awarded into the memory of the Alfred Nobel, who was a Swedish chemist, engineer, an industrialist, an inventor, and he was very popularly known as the inventor of the dynamite. Now understand one thing I want to tell you here, one incident I want to tell you here. So basically what happened in 1888, actually the Alfred Nobel's brother died. Alfred Nobel's Ludwig died in 1888, and one of a newspaper by mistake wrote an obituary into the name of Alfred Nobel. So there was a mistake. The newspaper thought that the Alfred Nobel had died. Now, Alfred Nobel was the inventor of dynamite, and by the dynamite was used in so many of the wars, so many of the people died by the dynamite. So what was the obituary? Now, the obituary or the remembrance read something like this, that the merchant of death is dead. The merchant of death is dead. So newspaper said that the person who invented dynamite, and by that dynamite so many people got killed, so he was the merchant of death. He made money by inventing death, and he is now finally dead. Okay, now Alfred Nobel read that newspaper, and he found this particular thing, that is this the way that the history is going to remember him? Fine, is this the way that the history is going to remember him? So he decided that he wanted to do something so that the history should be little bit kind to him. And he said that once I'll die, all the wealth, all the money that I have got, that wealth needs to be given to the people who have worked, who have done some distinguished work in the science. So what happened? he provided this particular thing, that all the money needs to be given to the people who have done something into the fields of the sciences, and therefore after 1901 the Nobel Prizes have been given. Now when we talk about the Nobel Prizes, so understand one thing, that all the prizes except for the Peace Prize, they are given in the Sweden. So the ceremony happens in Sweden. However, the ceremony for the Nobel Peace Prize, it happens into the Norway. So please remember these particular things. In the prelims examination, such kind of things can be asked. Then the second thing, actually who presents the Nobel Prize? So the Royal Swedish Academy of Science, it presents the Nobel Prize in Physics, Chemistry and Economic Sciences. Okay, understand this, that the Riksbank instituted, Riksbank give the money, the funding. So when the Nobel Prize is given, a medal and the monetary element, some money is given. So Riksbank funds that, but who actually gives? The Royal Swedish Academy of Science gives for Physics, Chemistry and Economic Sciences. Nobel Assembly, okay, at Karolinska Institute, fine, it gives the Nobel Prize for Medicine, and the Swedish Academy gives the Nobel Prize for Literature. Okay, now here I have given you the list of the people who had the connection with the India and they won the Nobel Prize. So we have the Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore got the Nobel Prize into the category of literature in 1913. Then C.V. Raman got the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1930. Mother Teresa got the Nobel Prize for Peace. Okay, then Amartya Sen got the Nobel Prize in Economics. Okay, Kailash Satyarthi got the Nobel Prize along with the Malala couple of years back in the category of Peace. Har Gobind Khurana got the Nobel Prize for Medicine. S. Chandrasekhar in Physics. Okay, Venki Ramakrishnan in Chemistry. Abhijit Banerjee again in Economics. So for Economics we have two Nobel Prizes. One is of Amartya Sen, other is of Abhijit Banerjee. Okay, so guys, I hope that this is clear. Okay. Then Ronald Ross. So Ronald Ross actually got the Nobel Prize in medicine, and he actually was a British, but he was born in the Almora, British India. Okay. Then the Rudyard Kipling got the Nobel Prize in the literature. He belonged to the Bombay province. Okay. And the Dalai Lama. Okay, so as the Dalai Lama is right now he has been given the refuge by India, so he has been given the Peace Prize. So these are the people who have the connection with the India. Okay, and they got the Nobel Prize. Now let's talk about the and now let's talk about the Nobel Prize of 2022. Nobel Prize of 2022. Now the Nobel Prize of 2022, first prize, that is the prize for medicine, has now been announced. Okay, and in the coming days the Nobel Prize in other categories will also be given. So Nobel Prize for 2022, so medicine, it has given to Svante Pääbo, who is a Swedish scientist and is based right now in Germany. So Svante Pääbo is a Swedish scientist based in Germany. Now why he has given a Nobel Prize? Because he had identified innovative methodologies to extract the DNA from human fossils. So now understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the DNA mapping, when we talk about the DNA extraction, it is not a very complicated process today. But what about extracting the DNA from the fossil which is a 30,000, 40,000 or 10,000 year old? How to extract clean DNA from that? So it is a very complicated process. Now why the Svante Pääbo has been given a process? Because Svante Pääbo had extracted the DNA of Neanderthals. So guys, when we talk about we, the humans, we are Homo sapiens. So the cousins of the Homo sapiens, they were the Homo Neanderthals. Now as we talk about the Homo Neanderthals, they went extinct 30 years ago. Okay, so the fossils that we have of the Homo Neanderthals, they are 30,000 years old. So from these fossils, the DNA has been extracted by the Svante Pääbo, and this methodology is very much important. So by this particular thing, the investigations into the human anthropology will become more effective. Moreover, the Svante Pääbo has also provided the existence of one more subspecies of the humans, that is the Denisovans. Now guys, guys, just I think last to last year there was a question also onto the Homo Denisovan that came. So it was said that the Denisovan was recently into the news. What it is? So it is the species of the humans, okay, subspecies of the Homo sapiens. Now the Denisovans and the Neanderthals were living at the same time, and it has been said that actually the Neanderthals and the Denisovans, they coexisted 20,000 years back, during which they not only interacted but also interbred. So the DNA of the Neanderthals have been the clean DNA has been extracted by the inventions done by the Svante Pääbo. So for this he has been given the Nobel Prize in medicine. So this is a very important and a very notable contribution that has been given. Fine. So that is all about this particular article, and guys, as the days will come, we'll discuss the other Nobel Prizes also. So that's all about it, and now we'll move to the next article. Okay. 69% of the houses under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana in rural India are owned by the women, says government. Now, we'll see this article with respect to GS paper number 2. We'll see this article with respect to the GS paper number 2, women related issues. GS paper number 2, women related issues, as well as the assessment of government welfare schemes. The assessment of government welfare schemes mentioned in GS paper number 2, again, there also we'll see this article. Now, what the article talks about. So first of all, we'll discuss some of the background and value addition, and after discussing the background and value addition, we'll discuss that what's contained actually in this article. So first of all, understand this thing, that actually, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about India, there is the housing poverty, that is a very big kind of poverty that exists in India. Now, there are the people who are not able to afford a dignified and a decent house, and because the people are facing the housing poverty, they are forced to live into the slums where unsanitary living conditions are there, unhygienic conditions are there. Moreover, in COVID-19 pandemic, we have found that the social distancing is a prerequisite to keep the pandemic at a distance. But how the social distancing will be there if the decent housing will not be there? Moreover, in the United Nations Declaration of Human Right, United Nations Declaration of Human Right 1948, the shelter has been recognized as the basic human right, and it is to be given. But still, the people don't have their own pakka, own decent houses. So therefore, in order to solve this particular issue, government had come out with the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Under this Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, 2.95 crore houses are to be given to the people who don't have their own houses. Now the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, this particular scheme has two components. One is the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban, and other is the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin. Okay, so under this particular scheme, it has been provided that not only the houses will be provided to the people, but what you need within a house. For example, within a house there needs to be accessible source of clean energy, there needs to be the gas connection, there needs to be the toilet, there needs to be the clean piped drinking water. So these are also certain things that needed to be there in a decent house. So under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, we see a classic convergence of scheme. Now what is convergence of scheme? You see this thing, that there are the multiple schemes which are running in the different silos. Okay, but sometimes we need to converge certain things at one particular point, and by that schemes can be made more effective. Now, I just want to give you one example. See, actually, under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, the scheme is converged with many other schemes. For example, there is the Swachh Bharat Mission. Swachh Bharat Mission. Okay, under the Swachh Bharat Mission, the toilets are constructed. So, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana is converged with the Swachh Bharat Mission so that the houses also have a functional toilet. Then the Saubhagya Yojana. Now, what is the Saubhagya Yojana? Saubhagya Yojana provides the electricity connections. So, Saubhagya Yojana is converged with the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Then Ujjwala Yojana. Under the Ujjwala Yojana, LPG connections will be provided to the households. Then there will be the Jal Jeevan Mission. Jal Jeevan Mission. Under the Jal Jeevan Mission, functional household tap connections are to be provided so that the piped clean drinking water can come. So the drinking water will be provided with the Jal Jeevan Mission. Then Jan Dhan, under the Jan Dhan, the banking facilities will be provided. So you see this thing, that when we talk about the Pradhan Mantri Awas, just a minute. When we talk about the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, it is one scheme, and under this particular scheme, multiple schemes are being converged. For example, Jal Jeevan Mission, Swachh Bharat Mission, okay, then Jan Dhan Yojana. After that there is the the Ujjwala Yojana. Then there is a Saubhagya Yojana. Okay, so what is this? This is the convergence-led development. This is the convergence-led development. It will make the implementation more effective. Okay, so this is something about the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Okay, so these are some of the value addition points. Fine, please note it down as they are not mentioned in your newspapers also. Now, when we talk about the government's focus within the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana is specifically onto the women. Government wants that the houses should be held in the name of the women, or at least joint ownership of the women needs to be there into the houses, because when we talk about India, we find this thing that because of the patriarchal norms that are prevalent, women are not given the rights over the property. Now under this particular scheme, it's being provided that actually up till now government had delivered 2 crore houses. Fine, up till now actually 2.46 crore houses have been sanctioned. 2.46 crore houses have been sanctioned, and out of that 2 crore have actually been constructed. Into these houses, 69% of the houses are owned partly or completely by the women. So nearly 70% houses ownership lie with the women. Now this particular fact is in line with the government's Nari Shakti initiative. Nari Shakti initiative. Now what is this Nari Shakti initiative? Under this initiative, government wants to go for women-led development instead of development of women. Okay, so rather than developing the women, women should be the change makers. Women should be the ones who lead forward the development. So this is in line with the Nari Shakti initiative. Now, government has also provided this particular thing. That as the government is taking forward the convergence, for example, the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana is converged and the LPG connections are being provided. So this thing has been appreciated even by the international agencies. For example, International Energy Agency, it has said that it is a major achievement in improving the environment and the health of the women. So India has been appreciated for that. Then I told you that at the same time, the toilets are also being provided under the Swachh Bharat mission. Now understand that till now, 11.5 crore toilets have been constructed into the rural areas and 70 lakh toilets have been built into the urban areas. Now, according to a report, what's the name of report? Name of report is Access to Toilets and the Safety, Convenience and Self-Respect of Women in Rural India. According to this particular report, as the toilets have been constructed, 93% of the women reported that they are no longer afraid of being hurt by the someone or harmed by animals while they are defecating. So earlier there was the fears of physical assault, there were the fear of the sexual assault while the women were going for the open defecation, but now 93% of women don't have such kind of fear. Moreover, 93% of the women, they also said that they are not afraid of contracting the health infections because of this open defecation. So this is truly an example of Nari Shakti. This is truly an example of women-led development that government is focusing upon. So understand this particular thing, that for example guys, in the past already the UPSC has asked a question about the gender budgeting. So the focus on gender, the issues, the essays even onto the gender has come. So in that particular dimension, these examples can be used. So a very, very good article. Fine. Now we'll move to the next article. MG Narega to fund work to reverse desertification of land across the states. Now this is again a very innovative development that is being taken by the government, and it will solve the problems on multiple fronts. Fine. Now first of all, before going in this article will be important for GS paper number 2. GS paper number 2, welfare schemes and their assessment, and then there is the good governance. Under the good governance also, this particular scheme will be seen as a case study. Now, first of all, let's discuss a little bit about MG Narega. Fine. So, MG Narega stands for Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. And the MG Narega schemes aims to provide at least 100 days of guaranteed wage employment in one financial year to every rural household whose adult member volunteers to do unskilled manual work. So under the MG Narega scheme, in every rural household will be provided at least 100 days of paid work in the unskilled category. One thing is very important, that it's not specific to one particular, for example, BPL community or SC community or ST community or OBC community. Any person can claim the 100 days of work. Okay, so it will aim to protect the most vulnerable households in the rural India by giving them the livelihood security. Now understand one particular thing, that these people can be asked to work for the creation of durable assets, for rejuvenating the natural resources, okay, natural resources into the rural areas, for creating the productive rural assets and all these kind of things. Now at the same time, I want to tell you guys that actually the MG Narega is also an example of shift of the governance post 2000. If we see post 2000, the shift has come towards the right based approach, For example, after 2000 we got the right to information, right to education, right to work under the MG Narega, right to food under the National Food Security Act 2013. So government's approach, government's philosophy towards the welfare and development is changing post 2000, and now basically the entitlements are being provided as a matter of right. Okay, now coming to the present news. Fine. So basically guys, now government has decided that the MG Narega is to be converged with the schemes which aims to reduce the desertification in the areas. Okay, now see this particular thing. Basically what the article talks, right now if you see that India is facing the problem of desertification. Now what is the desertification? Desertification is a process where the expansion of desert happens into the areas which are non-deserted. For example, you see, guys, suppose this is the desert of the Rajasthan. This is the desert of the great Indian desert of Rajasthan. Now along with the Rajasthan, there are certain fertile tracts within the Rajasthan. Then there are certain fertile tracts in the Punjab. Then there are certain fertile tracts, let's say, into the neighboring states of Haryana, Punjab and all other kind of things. Now with the flow of wind, what will happen? Basically the sand from the desert will flow and will get deposited even onto the fertile lands within the Rajasthan, within the Punjab, within the Haryana, and that will lead to the expansion of desert. Sometimes the land degradation is happening. Now the land degradation can happen because of the natural reasons, because of many other reasons. So the land degradation and desertification, it is a very big problem and it is impacting the fertile land tracts of India. Now if I give you some of the data onto the desertification that is going on in India, then according to the desertification and land degradation atlas that has been published by the Environment Ministry in 2021. According to this land degradation atlas, it's provided that 30% of India's total geographical area is under the category of the degraded land. Okay, because of the desertification, because of many other factors, the land got degraded, and many of the states which are facing the huge degradation, for example, there is a Jharkhand, Rajasthan, Delhi, Gujarat, Goa. They have more than 50% of the land which is undergoing the desertification or degradation. So we need to reclaim this particular land. Why? India is a country where a large number of people are dependent on agriculture. As more than 54% people in India are dependent on agriculture, we need to conserve these lands for them. Moreover, for the food security of India, we need to reclaim the land which are getting desertified. So therefore, in 2019 already, what happened? Government has taken the target of restoration of the degraded land. So basically, India participated into the UN Convention to combat the desertification, COP14. Okay, so the conference of parties within the United Nations Convention to combat desertification was attended by India, and India had taken that by 2030, 26 million hectares of land by 2030 will be restored. Again, I am telling 26 million hectares of land will be restored by 2030. Earlier, this particular target was 21 million. Just a minute. So earlier, this particular target was 21 million. So from 21 million, we revised it to 26 million. But have we been able to fulfill that target? Are we able to fulfill that particular target? No. So what happened? Because of the pandemic that came, because of the pandemic that came, we were not able to fulfill that target. And as per the present development that is happening, we might be able to just restore 4.95 million hectare of land by 25-26. So basically government is not able to fulfill the target. Now government had come out with an innovative and a kind of an inventive idea. What's the idea? Idea is that basically converge the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act with the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana. Now under the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, the irrigation facilities are being provided so that the degraded land can be recovered back, and moreover there are other schemes also under which the MG Narega will be converged. So what is the idea? Okay, this is a very good idea, and this is a brilliant thing that has happened. So we see that there are limited funds to deal with the task of restoring the degraded land and reversing the desertification of the country. So basically the people, the laborers will be used under the MG Narega scheme. They will be converged, the laborers will be used under the MG Narega scheme, okay, under the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, and they will be used for the restoration and reclamation of the land, and it's being provided by the government that 30% more land can be reclaimed, okay, can be reversed from the desertification if the convergence from MG Narega will be done. Now what will be done? So basically you see this thing. Suppose this is a village, and the name of village is Rampur. Now this is a village, the name of the village is Rampur. Now in the Rampur village, the desertification is happening. So basically the Rampur Panchayat can use the workers under the MG Narega. The Rampur Panchayat can use the workers under the MG Narega, and they can work to stop this desertification. For example, shelter belts. Now what is a shelter belt? Shelter belt is a belt where the trees are erected so that those trees arrest the flow of sand into the fertile land. So the shelter beds can be installed, other developments can be done. Fine. So therefore the MG Narega workers will be used for the desertification. Fine. So convergence between the MG Narega will be done. Along with that, MG Narega workers will be used for the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, under which the irrigation facilities are provided. So this is a very good example, and by this 30% more reclamation of land is possible. So this is very good example. Please do use it. Now we'll move to the next article. A decisive shift in the discourse on abortion rights. Now this particular article will see with respect to GS paper number 2 issues related to women. Okay. Now first of all guys, if you remember just a couple of days back, I think on Friday, we have discussed the Supreme Court ruling that came on the Mtp Act of 2021. So I have discussed with you that ruling a lot. So this article is in line with this particular ruling only. It is explaining these concepts, and it is saying that how this Supreme Court ruling, it is a kind of a very important step in recognizing the bodily autonomy of women, the reproductive rights of women. Now, before going in this particular article, I would like to tell you little bit about this Supreme Court ruling on Mtp 2021 that it has come. Now, understand guys, that as per India, is abortion allowed in India? So yes, abortion is allowed in India, and for that thing we have Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971. So Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971 allowed the abortion till 20 weeks. But then we came out with the amendment into the Mtp 1971, and the Mtp 9 just a minute, in place of Mtp 1971, Mtp 2021 was brought. Now the Mtp 2021 provided number one, it provided that both the married as well as unmarried women will be allowed to abort the child, and the time duration under which the abortion can be carried, it has been enhanced. It has been enhanced from 20 week to 24 week. So if you see earlier it was 20 week, now it has been enhanced to 24 weeks. That is something that has happened. Now when we talk about the abortion, guys, it has been provided that abortion till the 20 weeks, 0 to 20 weeks, the abortion can be carried by the opinion of one registered medical practitioner. So on the basis of opinion of one registered medical practitioner, the abortion can be done. However, between 20 to 24 weeks, if the abortion is to be carried, then you need to have the approval of at least 2 registered medical practitioners. Then only the abortion can be carried. Now, basically, when the abortion is to be carried till 20 weeks, a woman can abort the child on the basis that carrying a pregnancy will lead to the mental pressure, will lead to the mental agony. Okay, so the abortion can be terminated, the abortion can be allowed, the pregnancy can be terminated. But when we talk about the 20 to 24 week period, in that there are specifically the 7 conditions under which only the pregnancy can be aborted. Now, what are these 7 conditions? For example, if the pregnancy is the result of a rape or a sexual assault. Secondly, if the person, if the woman who got pregnant is a minor, if the woman is minor. Third, if the marital status of that particular woman got changed, if the marital status got changed. Fourth is that if the person is suffering, if a person, the woman is mentally retarded, mental retardation is there. Fifth, if the woman is disabled, if the woman is disabled. Sixth condition was there that, for example, if a woman is struck into a disaster, or in a humanitarian condition. Okay, so and the 7th ground is that if the child who will be born, the child will have severe abnormalities. Okay, there are some congenital disease. Congenital disease means the disease by birth. So there is kind of a congenital disease. Okay, so if these 7 conditions are fulfilled, then a woman can abort a child. Okay, that are the thing. Now, actually what happened, basically there was one unmarried woman who was a 25-year-old unmarried woman who was 23 plus week pregnant. She approached the Delhi High Court and asked the Delhi High Court that please allow me to abort the pregnancy. The woman said that the person with whom I was living in a relationship, that person and I don't want to live together, and I want to abort the pregnancy. Okay, fine. This is something that is being provided. Okay, so therefore the women approached to the Delhi High Court. Okay, now the Delhi High Court said that we will not allow you to abort that pregnancy. Why? Because number one, you are 25-year-old, so you are not minor. Secondly, you have said that this pregnancy happened because of your consensus, so therefore it is not a rape. Secondly, you are not basically you are not married, so your marital status did not got changed. You are not mentally retarded. You are not physically disabled. You are not physically challenged. You are not a disabled heir. Okay, so therefore then also will not allow you. Then you are not stuck in some kind of a disaster, and the child that is being born is also not having any congenital disease. So the women were not allowed to abort. Then this women reached to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court finally allowed that women to abort the pregnancy, and the Supreme Court also said that actually there is an artificial distinction. That is coming, and by that artificial distinction, out of by that particular artificial distinction, the unmarried women are getting discriminated. So now the Supreme Court has come out with a ruling, and this Supreme Court ruling want to remove this artificial discrimination that is having. Is it clear or not? Okay. There are some questions that I want to take. Out of 7 conditions, there must be 1-2 condition. See, out of 7 condition, if any one condition is being met, then the women can abort the pregnancy. Is it clear or not? That is the thing. Now, so basically, this Supreme Court judgment that has come out, it is being discussed here. So we'll see this particular judgment now one by one. So basically, now the Supreme Court had said that actually the single and unmarried women, okay, let me use the different color pen. So single and unmarried women, they should be allowed to abort the pregnancy between 20 to 24 week, and they need to be given the same opportunities for the safe and the legal abortion as the married women have been given. Clear? Now understand one thing that has come. Actually earlier you had that there are these 7 conditions under which one condition is to be met. Now when that women approached to the court said that you are not meeting any one condition out of that. So now the Supreme Court had said that actually we need to expand the scope of these 7 conditions that are there. You need to include a broader ground, the ground that is the change in material circumstance. The change in material circumstance. It simply means that in the change of a condition of that women is there, the pregnancy will be allowed. So you don't restrict to technically these 7 grounds. If there is anything beyond these 7 grounds, for example, simply you take this example. Suppose a unmarried man and a woman were living together in a live-in relationship. The unmarried woman got pregnant, and let's say both the girl and the boy, the man and the woman, have lost their job, and now they say that we are not able to afford this, will not be able to give the good life to the children that is being born, and let's say the women approaches to the court. So now the material circumstance, that is the physical the financial condition of the couple has got changed. So basically it has been said that you don't be restricted technically to these 7 conditions. Expand the horizon of these 7 conditions, and a change in material circumstance can be a broader ground that can be added. So on this particular basis, the unmarried women are to be seen. So the artificial distinction should not be there. This is something. Now in this, the Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, while delivering the judgment, had said that the right of reproductive autonomy, dignity, privacy of unmarried women are equally important. That is something that's been recognized. Now, actually this judgment has been called as a very progressive kind of a judgment, and then there are the 5 key aspects of this judgment that are being discussed. Now the aspect number 1, okay, when we talk about, guys, the Indian Penal Code, it criminalizes accessing and providing an abortion except when there is an immediate necessity to save the life of the pregnant women. Now, if the child is being aborted, apart from if the child is being aborted, then that is a crime. But you can abort a child only to save the life of a mother. That was a condition that was provided. Okay, now an Mtp Act has come, and the Mtp Act is an exception to this particular criminal offense. It means that under the grounds of Mtp, the women can abort a child. Otherwise, that particular thing will be called as a crime. Now, what has happened? What has happened actually? The Supreme Court has expanded the scope of Mtp Act 2021. Earlier, the Mtp Act 2021 in the 20 to 24 weeks allowed the abortion only under these 7 conditions. But now the Supreme Court has provided that apart from these 7 conditions, the new ground, that is the change in material circumstance, also needs to be seen. So what has happened? The scope of Mtp Act 2021 has been expanded, and now the unmarried women will come in the scope of this Mtp Act of 2021, and they will be saved from instituting a criminal charge on that. So earlier, what the unmarried women will do, if the court will not allow them to abort under these 7 conditions, they'll go illegally, they'll try to abort the child, and if there will be an illegal abortion, they'll be charged under the IPC. So that, therefore, now basically such women have been saved. Okay, that is one thing. Second, this judgment holds unconstitutional distinction between the married pregnant women and an unmarried pregnant women. Now, how the distinction was coming, how the discrimination between the married and unmarried women is there. Now, you see this particular thing. If you read the conditions, the 7 conditions that I have told you under which the women can abort. Now, see, the problem is between the 20 to 24 week window only. Till 20-week window, it's very broad. Why? Because there is a ground that the abortion can be carried if there is a mental pressure, mental trauma. Now, the mental trauma, it is a very, very wide ground. Now, you see this thing. If we see third ground, the change in marital status. So, if the women got divorced while she was pregnant, or if the women got widowed while she was pregnant, so the change in marital status is there. Now, what about the unmarried women? If the unmarried women had a kind of a breakup with her partner, if an unmarried woman had a breakup with her partner, will she be allowed? No. But if a married woman had a divorce or became widow, will she be allowed? Yes. But if an unmarried woman's partner died, or if the unmarried women had a breakup with her partner, she'll not be allowed. So there was a kind of an distinction. There was an unconstitutional distinction. We have the right to equality, but the distinction between married and unmarried women was made. This was wrong. So this particular distinction has been rectified now. So this is the second. Then the third aspect of this particular judgment that comes here is that now, basically, guys, there is one more very, very big change that has come, and I have already discussed that also on the Friday. Now, when we talk about the marital rape, marital rape is not a crime right now in India. Okay, but it has been said that for the purpose of Mtp Act of 2021, if there is a marital rape, that is husband has forcefully carried a sexual intercourse with that woman for the sake of pregnancy, then that woman can go to the court and can ask that I want to abort the pregnancy onto the ground of rape. So marital rape will be considered as a rape only for the purpose of the Mtp Act of 2021. Understand one particular thing, guys. One thing I want to tell you very clearly, that even in India today, the marital rape is not a crime. So if a husband has carried a forceful intercourse with the wife cannot go to the court and cannot send that husband to the jail for the charge of rape. But if husband has forcefully carried a sexual intercourse with the wife in order to make the wife pregnant, so the Supreme Court had said that in India there are the forced pregnancies that are there. So therefore, if the husband has carried the sexual intercourse and the women got pregnant, she can go and ask to abort the pregnancy onto the charge of rape. That is there something that has happened. So see this particular thing. Now here it has been said that the pregnancy can be sought to be terminated on the ground of it being as a result of a rape by the husband of the pregnant women. Okay, so this is something that's there. Then the fourth dimension that comes is that basically the court has acknowledged the concerns with accessing the safe and legal Mtp services for the adolescent girls. Now this judgment also we discussed. So basically, guys, understand this thing, that in the case of a person is 18 year or less, if the person is less than 18 year of age, there is a POCSO Act that comes in between. Now POCSO Act of 2012. POCSO stands for Protection of Children from the Sexual Offences Act. Under the POCSO Act, it's provided that an individual of less than 18 years of age cannot make any sexual relations with any person with consent or without consent. So not any sexual relation can be made. Now suppose if a girl who is less than 18 years of age is getting pregnant, so it means that she cannot give consent, and if she became pregnant, so it means that the person who had made this woman pregnant, that person is to be charged under the POCSO. Okay, that is the thing. Now when the unmarried minor girls were approaching for the termination of pregnancy, then it is provided that the registered medical practitioner has to inform the police under the POCSO, so that the police can arrest that particular person, that is, or the case can be started on that particular person. But the social reality of India is very much different. Many a times the families, they don't want to get involved in this particular legal matter because of the courts and all that thing that will be involved there. So what actually was happening, when the minor girls were getting pregnant, the parents and the girls were approaching the unqualified doctors and they were carrying the illegal, unsafe abortions. Okay, why? Because they did not wanted to involve into these legal things and all such kind of a thing. So therefore now the Supreme Court has provided this particular thing, that if a minor woman is approaching a registered medical practitioner for the abortion, then that registered medical practitioner need not to convey to the police the identity of that particular woman. Okay, so the identity, just a minute, here you can see that the identity of pregnant person need not to be disclosed into the case of consensual sexual activity, and where the minor guardian request the medical service provider to maintain the confidentiality. Okay, so that information will not be given to the police. That is something. Then fifth thing that comes here is that basically when we talk about the law, earlier it was in the current form that it was there, it was non-inclusive, it was exclusionary. Okay, fine, it recognized the extra legal requirements. Now you see this particular thing, earlier when the unmarried women were not being covered on par with the married women, it was exclusionary. So that thing has been removed. After that, it is a very progressive judgment which interprets a medical law from the point of view of the rights of person. Okay, so MTP was a medical law, but now this medical law has been interpreted under the social lens. Okay, the people who were not able to access it, their concerns have been taken care of. And finally, The court has placed reliance onto the various rulings of the court itself. Fine. Now, when we talk about in the past, court has said that the bodily autonomy, right to dignity, right to decision making, they are the essential fundamental rights. They are the essential fundamental rights. And in that line, this particular thing has been developed. So the court got inspiration by its own judgment in the past that have been given. So this is, guys, all about this particular development. Now you see this thing that this is a very big issue, and I had tried to explain this entire issue in entirety. And if in case you want to see anything again, I will insist that you may please rewind the video and please watch this particular thing again. I think it will take 10 or 15 minutes, but this topic is very important. This is a 5-star topic for the GS paper number 2, because in the entire world the abortion related issue is a lot in the news, because in the USA there was the reversal of the Roe versus Wade judgment of 1973 that happened. By that thing also the abortion became very important. So this is a very important topic. Okay, please do watch it very carefully. Okay, and if you want, on the Friday we discussed this entire judgment when it came. You can refer to that also, but if you have already done, then no need to go it again. Now moving to the next article. Okay, by the way, guys, if in case you are liking the video, fine, you can please hit the like button, because by that particular thing we get to know that whether we are doing the right thing or not. Now moving to the next article. Is Tamil Nadu's breakfast scheme populist or pertinent? Now this article we'll see again with respect to the GS paper number 2, social justice. GS paper number 2, social justice. Okay, now, so before going in this particular article, what has happened recently? Tamil Nadu has come out with a breakfast scheme. Okay, so we'll be analyzing that particular breakfast scheme from the lens of the social justice related issues. Okay, so basically, recently, guys, the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister has announced the breakfast scheme for the first time in the state, and the children in the classes 1 to 5, children into the classes 1st to 5, they will be provided the breakfast. Now understand this particular thing, that already actually we are running the midday meal scheme. Under the midday meal scheme, the cooked meals, particularly the cooked lunch, are being provided. But this midday meal was missing one particular component. The breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Now many of the children who are attending the government schools, they are coming from the poor families, and because of that they are skipping the breakfast. And breakfast physiologically supports, it is very important, because it see, when we talk about, guys, the entire night a person is in a state of fast, and the minerals, okay, and the essential energy that the brain needs for the cognitive function, the energy that the body needs for its physical functions, that energy is virtually depleted. So therefore the breakfast provides the essential energy, it provides the essential nutrition. Moreover, for the mental health, for the cognitive health, for the mental health, for the cognitive health, this is very much important. Okay, so therefore even in the food activists have provided this particular thing, that please come out with a kind of a breakfast scheme. Okay, guys, just a minute, let me put this mic again. Okay, so I think now it should not be a problem. Okay, so basically to solve this particular issue, now Tamil Nadu has taken a step, and the breakfast scheme is provided. Now this particular scheme is trying to solve the 3 challenges, or this scheme is placed onto the confluence of number one, the political debate onto the freebies. See, In the past, if you remember, we have discussed many articles where it is being said that the political parties are promising certain irrational promises just in order to attract the voters. So it has been said that first of all, when we are providing the free breakfast, it can be called as a freebie is being given. So this is one angle. Then there is at the same time falling human development performance that is happening. In India, we have seen particularly into the pandemic that the hunger has increased many-fold. Second is that educational disruption has happened because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Fine, the children's, they have dropped out of the school. The dropout rates have been increased. So at the intersection of these three developments, this breakfast schemes lies. How it lies, I'll tell you here. Number one. Okay, the Chief Minister of the Tamil Nadu has defended that actually the state has a responsibility to provide the food to the people. The state has a responsibility to make sure that the children, the people's basic entitlements are being fulfilled. For example, we have the article number 38 of the Indian Constitution. Now, when we talk about the article 38 of the Constitution, it says that the states have a responsibility to promote the welfare of the people, to minimize the inequalities of the people, to minimize the income inequalities, as well as to provide the basic opportunities, facilities to everyone. So article 38 has put the obligation onto the states, and the Tamil Nadu government had said that this particular step is in line with the article number 38's mandate of the DPSP. Okay, it has been said that actually when we talk about the freebies are the irrational promises that are being made to the people. For example, promising that if I'll come to the power, I'll give you a gold chain, I'll give you a motorbike. If I come to the power, I'll give you an air conditioner. So these are the freebies. These are the irrational promises which are just being made in order to attract certain client. It is a clientelist kind of a promise. Now, what is a clientelist? Clientelism simply means that the political party are there and the voters are there. The voters are the client of the political party, and the political party need to keep the voter happy. So under the clientelism, the freebies are given. Freebies are the populist measure. What is a populist measure? Anything that is just being done in order to attract people. Doesn't matters that whether is actually good for people or not, but just for attracting the people, some things are being done. So these are the populist measures. Then so basically it has been said that the freebies are the clientelist and populist measures. Fine, but when we talk about the breakfast scheme, it is something which will promote the welfare, which will promote the human development. It is the case. Actually, if I tell you guys the numbers with respect to the hunger in India, so you see this thing that India is ranked 71. India is ranked 71 out of 113 countries in the Global Food Security Index of 2021. Secondly, India's rank is 101 out of 116 countries into the Global Hunger Index of 2021. Then, India's rank is 132 out of 191. 132 out of 191 countries in the Human Development Index 2021-2022. So on development, hunger, fine, India's ranks are very much poor. At the same time, the mean average age of schooling in India is around 6.7 years in 2020-2021. So understand that in order to solve all these particular kind of problems, the breakfast scheme is going to be very important one, where the people are very poor and they are not able to afford even the square meals. Even when the people are not able to afford the square meals, what happens? Breakfast will attract more and more children to the school. So therefore, the school attendance will increase, school enrollment rates will increase. All these particular developments are going to come by this particular scheme. Then next, moving on, after that we see this thing that there is a poor record of India in spending into the human development and welfare schemes. For example, guys, in the past the budget on education has not been very much sufficient. Budget onto the other human children developments have not been very much good. So as the Tamil Nadu has announced this one of a kind scheme, actually this scheme is directly aimed at promoting the children's welfare, reducing the children's hunger. So it cannot be called as a freebie. Moreover, there are the case study that has been given about the Tamil Nadu, that actually Tamil Nadu in the past by these particular interventions only have been able to do really good work. For example, it's being provided that actually as per the data given by as per the data given by Comprehensive National Nutrition Survey 2016 and 18, it provides that actually the micronutrient deficiency in the children is far less when compared in Tamil Nadu, when compared with the national average. Okay, I'll be giving you certain numbers here. Okay, number one, 10% of the children between the age of 5 to 9 years in Tamil Nadu are stunted. So around 10% children in Tamil Nadu are stunted. Now what is the national average? National average is 22%. When we talk about the Kerala, the number is around 11%. So Tamil Nadu's performance is very good compared to the national average. It's 22%. Okay, the Tamil Nadu's performance is at 10%, which is very good. Secondly, it has been provided that Tamil Nadu had the higher level of underweight children. Now, underweight children in Tamil Nadu, is 23%. In Kerala, it's 21%, but the national average is 35%. So, compared to the national average, still Tamil Nadu's children are doing better on the undernutrition. Then, 19% of the children in Tamil Nadu are malnourished. Okay, but when we talk about the national average, it's 23%. So, at national average, at every front, Tamil Nadu's children are better in terms of nutritional well-being. So therefore, whatever the Tamil Nadu has done, it is very, very good kind of a thing in order to provide good nutrition, in order to bridge the micronutrient deficiencies into the children, and it will provide the advantage to the socio-economically disadvantaged group. Now, when we talk about this particular thing, that the children who are attending the government schools, who are these children? These children are from socio-economically disadvantaged group. Okay. Now, the nutritional outcomes of these particular children are needed to be taken care of particularly. So, therefore, the scheme that has been started by the breakfast scheme, this is going to be a very good one. Moreover, in the Western countries, it has already been seen that these breakfast schemes, it improves the school attendance as well as a concentration onto the studies. Moreover, Tamil Nadu is already it is quite well placed onto the Niti Aayog's index onto the school education quality. So, as the school quality in the Tamil Nadu is already good, these schemes have actually helped in the past, and in now also this particular scheme is going to help. Fine. So, this is guys all the developments in this particular direction that has come. So, I hope that you have understood. Now, I want to come back again on this particular point, that actually the breakfast scheme of Tamil Nadu, it is at the juncture of three things. Number one, political debate on freebie. Fine. So, that dimension we have seen. Falling human development, those numbers we have seen, and the educational disruption because of the COVID-19. So, at the intersection of these three things, the breakfast scheme is placed. Okay. So, that is all about it, and now we'll move to the next article. Okay. Now, with the rupee under pressure, what next? Now, this article talks about the performance of rupee in front of dollar. So, we have seen this thing in the past, that actually the rupee's performance have not been good, and rupee has fallen to around 81 rupees per dollar. So, this article will see with respect to the GS paper number 3 issues related to the Indian economy. Okay. Now, so we have found this thing, that actually the India's value has declined by 10% because of the burden or the pressure onto the rupee. Now, first of all, what are the reasons? What are the reasons that the rupee is falling? The first reason is the widening current account deficit. Now, one thing you please understand, that the value of any currency depends on the demand and supply factor. Whatever currency's demand will increase, that particular currency will go up, and whatever currency's supply will increase, that particular currency will go down. Again, I'll explain. The demand or the valuation of any currency depends on to the demand and supply. For example, if dollar's demand will increase, what will happen? Dollar will appreciate. Okay. If dollar's supply will increase, dollar will go down. Similarly, when we talk about the rupee, if rupee's demand will increase, rupee will appreciate. Okay, if nobody is needing the rupee, rupee will depreciate. So these are certain relations that you need to understand. Now, first of all, understand this thing, that what's actually happening. Around the world, the crude oil price have increased so much, and as the crude oil prices have increased, there is an impact on India. 82% of India's energy requirements are met by imports. 82% of energy requirement of India are met by import. Okay, now as we are procuring the crude oil, we need to pay more and more dollar, we need to pay more and more dollar in that particular thing. Now this particular dollar, it is leading to two problems. Number one, the current account deficit of India. Okay, we are paying more money, we are paying more forex. Okay, but we are paying more forex, so number one, our current account deficit is increasing. Second thing, that what is happening is that actually guys, we need to do these payments into the form of dollar. Obviously, as we need to do the payment into the form of dollar, what's happening, the dollar, okay, what's happening actually, the demand of dollar is actually increasing. Okay, by that particular thing, it is it is appreciating the dollar, and in front of dollar, rupee is going down. Okay, second thing that's happening is the capital outflows. Capital outflows. Now I told you this particular thing many number of times, that since 2020 there is a lot of foreign portfolio investment that came in Indian stock market. Now as these investments came into the Indian stock market, okay, what happened, the Indian share market improved a lot. Now what's happening, the USA's Federal Reserve, the USA's Federal Reserve is again increasing the interest rates. Now as USA's Federal Reserve is increasing the interest rate, the investment that came in India in 2020, this particular investment will go back again to the USA. So the foreign portfolio outflows are happening. As the foreign portfolio outflows are happening, obviously these investors will convert their when they'll withdrawing their investments, they want dollars to take back to the USA. So everybody will demand dollar. If they will demand dollar, what will happen? The price of the dollar will go up, in place of that particular rupee will depreciate. Rupee will depreciate. So two factors are leading to the depreciation of rupee. Number one, the widening current account deficit, okay, because we need to pay more dollars for the oil. Second is the foreign portfolio foreign portfolio investment outflows that are happening. It is leading to the pressure onto the rupee. At the same time guys, obviously you know that more and more forex is to be given when we are importing. What has happened, even our forex reserves have went down. So they are $100 billion down in last 1 year. Now as we talk about this particular thing guys, it has been provided that actually at the same time, the current account deficit, it might widen to around 3% of our GDP this year. What is the safe limit? Safe limit is around 2.5% of GDP, but our current account deficit will go to around 3% of the GDP, which is not very much good. At the same time, fiscal deficit of the center and the states. Now, you know this particular thing, that the center and the states are spending money and they are also getting some receipts. So the deficit, how much you are spending and how much you are getting, the difference between that, the fiscal deficit, it is also increasing. And it's being provided that the fiscal deficit between both the center and the state, it is above 10% of the GDP, which is not very much good. Now, at the 1991, when India saw the BOP crisis, as well as in 2013, the fiscal deficits were very much high, and now the same problem is coming on the Indian economy. Now you understand this particular thing, that actually first of all, as this particular crisis is going on, many of the economists have said that it's not completely bad, because this is the condition of the entire world. But understand this thing, that see, simply because there is a global problem, it doesn't solve our own issue. It's simply, see, it's simply like this, that you have not prepared for the exam and somebody is coming and telling you that okay, don't worry, you haven't prepared for the exam, your friend have also not prepared. Though it will give you some comfort, but how it solves your problem? Okay, how it matters? Fine, you are not concerned, that you are concerned about your own result. Fine. So therefore it is being said that the comfort can be drawn that it is a global problem, but India is not alone, but this comfort is misplaced. Secondly, the Reserve Bank of India recently allowed the domestic traders to settle their import and export bill in rupees. Okay, so I told you that actually in the past, when we are importing the crude oil, we need to pay the dollars, but now the Reserve Bank of India had said that such payment can be made into the rupee also, so that the dollars requirement is not there, and by that the pressure on the rupee is not created. Now why this particular thing actually happened? This particular thing happened because India wanted to buy the oil from the Russia into the rupee. So Russia ruble arrangement, for that thing happened. Okay, now this particular thing will give a relief into the trade deficit, around 20 to 25 billion, $20 to 25 billion dollar of our trade deficit will be taken care of, but still we need much more in this particular thing. So today the weaker rupee, it also lead to inflationary pressure. How inflationary pressure? Now you see this particular thing, that if the rupee will become weak, we need to pay the more rupee.
let's take one example. Suppose one gallon of oil, let's say 1 gallon of oil is equal to $1. Okay, now in the past, let's say $1 was equal to 50 rupee. Now the $1 has become equal to 100 rupees. Suppose dollar appreciated, rupee depreciated. So in the past, $1 is equal to 50 rupee. Today $1 is equal to 100 rupee. You want to buy oil. 1 gallon of oil is equal to $1. So in the past, for 1 gallon you are giving 50 rupees. Today for 1 gallon you are giving 100 rupees. So though it's at the same rate $1, but as rupee declined, so today for $1 we are paying 100 rupees. Now obviously when the oil in India that will come, it will be expensive, it will bring inflation at all other fronts, so it is going to create another kind of a problem. Okay, so recently the US secretary said that the dollar is our currency, but it's your problem. Okay, so we need to understand this thing, that as the dollar's appreciation is creating the pressures, we need to deal with those pressures in innovative ways. So that is all guys about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll move to the next article. Okay, induction of indigenously built light combat helicopter marks a new chapter. So guys, this particular article will see with respect to the prelims examination, and GS paper number 3, indigenization of defense. Indigenization of defense will see this particular article. So the article talks about the induction of the light combat helicopter Prachand. The induction of the light combat helicopter Prachand. So basically you see in the pictures, so just a minute. So what had happened in the Jodhpur, the water cannon has been given for the induction of the Prachand helicopter. Okay, so let's discuss about the Prachand helicopter. So you know this particular thing guys, that actually as India is working a lot on its defense preparedness, okay, we need to have the fighter jets, we need to have the helicopters, fine, which India can use. Moreover, India is facing the threat of the two-front war. On one hand there is China, on another hand there is Pakistan. So in order to solve this problem of two-front war, we need to have higher defense capabilities. Now that Prachand helicopter, so it is a twin engine light combat helicopter, which has been designed and developed by the Hindustan Aeronautical Limited. Okay, so it is a combat helicopter, 5 to 8 ton category combat helicopter means that it can work in offensive operations. Now the light combat helicopter for India was conceptualized after the 1999 Kargil conflict, because we found this particular thing, that if the war happens at such high altitude, we need to have a dedicated aircraft, dedicated helicopter. So therefore the Prachand light combat helicopter has been designed as an attack helicopter, and it is the only helicopter in the world which can land and can take off at an altitude of 5,000 meters, that is 16,400 feet. So therefore it is an ideal helicopter which can be operated around the Siachen glacier region. Fine. So right now we find this particular thing, that around the LAC we are facing the disputes with the China. So on that particular region, the Prachand helicopter becomes a kind of an ideal adversary to the China. Now LCH, it is armed with 20 mm nose gun, rockets, anti-tank guided missile Dhruvastra, and air-to-air missile Mistral 2. So this is the weaponry that will be contained on this particular helicopter. So this is about the Prachand LCH which have been inducted and which have been developed by the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Now we'll move to the next article. Government may lift AFSPA, that is the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, in the 4 states after the Naga Peace Pact. Okay, now it is not final, it is just a kind of a preliminary report that had come. Now guys, if you remember, just two days back we have seen this particular thing, that the Ministry of Home Affairs had extended the Armed Forces Special Power Act in the parts of Nagaland and Arunachal Pradesh for 6 more months. Now this is the time when the Nagaland and northeastern states are asking that remove the AFSPA, but now the Home Ministry has extended the AFSPA for the next 6 more months for many more other police stations. Now when we talk about the AFSPA, guys, originally the AFSPA came in 1942. okay, when in order to control the insurgency, the Britishers bought it. But you know that after independence, the northeastern insurgency increased. So what happened in 1958, we again came out with an act, that is the AFSPA, Armed Forces Special Powers Act. So originally it was brought during the time of Britishers, but after independence we again introduced the AFSPA to control the insurgency. Now the AFSPA, it has been imposed in Northeast, Jammu and Kashmir and Punjab. Now for Jammu and Kashmir there is a separate act, and in Punjab it has been removed. Okay. Now when we talk about the AFSPA, okay, when we talk about AFSPA, right now it is in force in Nagaland, Manipur, Assam, Jammu and Kashmir, Arunachal Pradesh. Okay. Earlier it has been repealed in the Tripura and Meghalaya, but now it is in place in again Nagaland, Manipur, Assam, Jammu and Kashmir, Arunachal Pradesh. Now under the AFSPA, the special powers are given to the armed forces. Okay, so understand that under the AFSPA, an area can be declared as a disturbed area by the governor or by the central government. Now once an area is declared as a disturbed area, okay, under the section number 3, then the armed forces can arrest the people there, they can shoot on the people, they can search without the warrant, all such kind of a powers is given. Moreover, at the same time, the AFSPA Act gives an impunity to the security personnel who are involved in such operations. These security personnel, they cannot be investigated, they cannot be punished if they are doing investigations, or if they are shooting, or if they are harming the people under AFSPA. So therefore the people had said that under the AFSPA, the armed forces, they got so much of the power and they violate the human right of these particular people. Now in this particular thing, guys, in 1997 there was a judgment of the Supreme Court, okay, that is the Nagas People Movement for Human Right versus Union of India judgment. In this particular judgment, it was said that the AFSPA should be used in one of the rarest of the rare circumstances. Okay. Moreover, there is the Justice Jeevan Reddy Commission also. Now, Justice Jeevan Reddy Commission in 2005, as well as the second ARC Commission, fine, they have endorsed the recommendations that they have endorsed the recommendation that the AFSPA is a symbol of oppression. Okay, and it needs to be repealed. AFSPA has become a symbol of oppression, it is a symbol of suppression, and it is to be repealed. Okay. So who said it? Again I am repeating, Justice Jeevan Reddy Commission said it, and the second ARC said it, that it needs to be repealed. Okay. At the same time, guys, in Extrajudicial Execution Victim Family Association of Manipur, it filed a case into the Supreme Court and had said that 1500 plus fake encounters have been done by the police force, the armed force personnel, by using the powers of AFSPA. So therefore AFSPA is to be repealed. Now the government has extended the AFSPA. By the way, guys, I have provided this entire detailed note, you can download it. Now the government will say that the AFSPA will be repealed after the Naga Peace Pact. So this Naga Peace Pact also we have discussed a lot separately since 1918. From 1918, the Naga Peace Pact also we have discussed. So right now, guys, the center is engaged with the the center is engaged with the National Socialist Council of Nagaland, Isak Muvaiya, NSCNM, as well as the government is also involved in talks with the National Political Group NNPG in order to find the solution for the Naga. So you know this particular thing, that in Naga there is the insurgencies going on. So in order to solve that particular insurgency, government is negotiating with the NSCNIM as well as NNPG. Now this particular deal has not been completely finalized. Once it will be finalized, the AFSPA will be repealed. This is something that has been provided. So that is all, guys, about this article, and now we'll move to the next article. Okay. Center plans cutting coal supply to plants that don't comply on biomass co-firing. Now this article will see with respect to the GS paper number 3. Okay. Environment, infrastructure, coal resources, impact onto the coal resources, etc. Now let's discuss. So basically, guys, understand this thing, that here in this particular picture what you see, it is the biomass pellets. These are the biomass pellets. Now these biomass pellets, okay, they are made by the dried biomass. Okay, dried biomass can be extracted from plants, can be extracted from trees, okay, or can be left over, for example, the husk from the paddy, husk from the wheat. So biomass pellets can be made by that particular left wastage. Now, you know this particular thing, guys, that actually India is dependent onto the coal for electricity needs. We are using our domestic coal as well as we are importing the coal. Now, the coal is actually into the short supply in the India also, because we find the coal shortages that happen, and at the same time when we are importing the coal, for that also we need to pay the forex, we need to pay the dollar. So therefore, what has happened in the past, India has provided that the coal plants, they need to at least they need to blend these biomass pellets along with the coal. So the 5% of coal that is being used in thermal plants, it is need to be mixed with the biomass pellets. So 5% compliance of biomass pellets was to be achieved by 2022. But up till now, the coal plants have not done this thing. Now the government has provided that these biomass pellets, they have the same calorific value as coal, and mixing them with coal saves the consumption as well as reportedly cuts into the emission. Now burning these biomass pellets will not lead to carbon emission as it is done by the coal. So at least 5%, suppose let's say a coal plant is using the 100 kg of coal. So 95 kg coal and 5 kg of these biomass pellets were to be used. Now the central government had said that the plants who have not fulfilled this particular condition, their coal supply will be cut down. So in order to bring the compliance, this is something that has been imposed by the government. Okay, so that is all, guys, about this particular article. And now we'll move to the next article. Every drop counts. Now guys, this particular article talks about the Jal Jeevan Mission survey that has been done. Okay, now guys, yesterday this Jal Jeevan Mission survey entirely we have discussed along with the entire Jal Jeevan mission which I have explained you. Now what this article is actually talking about? This article is talking about that actually the Jal Jeevan Mission survey that was done, in which it was provided that 62%, in which, just a minute, I'll show you here also, in which it was provided that 62% of rural households, they have the functional tap water connection. Now, according to the article, it is being said that this survey is done by a private body. So therefore, there can be the errors, there can be gap in this particular survey. Now, this is a kind of a, guys, just it is a kind of a self-speculation that is being made. Okay, just they are assuming that there can be the errors. Now, such kind of assumptions are not important for the examination, but this Jal Jeevan Mission and the survey that has been conducted is very important. And in yesterday's newspaper analysis, this entire issue I have discussed from the very scratch. So I'll insist that if you have not seen this particular article, please go and please watch. That is the 3rd October newspaper analysis where the Jal Jeevan Mission has been discussed. And if you have seen it, no need to go and read this particular article again. Okay, so that is all, guys, about it. And now let's take the mains practice questions for today. So the first question is that, what do you mean by convergence-led development in the purview of the government schemes? Give examples of such type of convergence and explain their potential benefits. Question number 2, under Article 38, states have a responsibility to promote welfare and minimize inequalities among the individuals and groups. In this context, discuss whether welfare measures such as breakfast scheme is justified or not. Okay, so this is, guys, all about the mains practice questions for today. Okay, so that is all, guys, about the articles today, and I hope that you have understood it. And guys, if you are liking it, please do hit the like button. Okay, guys, we really need your support. Okay, and hitting the like button, I think, is the minimum thing that a creator might ask from the audiences. So please show your support by hitting the like button and by subscribing to the channel and by leaving your lovely comments as you do it every day. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Now we'll be meeting now we'll be meeting, I guess, onto the 6th, because onto the 5th of October, as provided into the newspaper, there will be no edition. Okay, so on 5th of October there is no edition of the Hindu. Okay, so that is all about the newspaper. Thank you so much.